when he graduated from a teaching college, swearing off the entire profession forever. Instead, he cleared the civil service exam to secure a quiet government job. But on his very first day, the entire world literally collapses right beneath his feet. Once he finally processed the memories of this new body, he sat there. Unable to speak, it seems fate has cornered him with absolute precision. Back then, old classmates called him teacher because he tutored everyone in school. Even his college roommates teased him with that same title. Now, after desperately dodging classrooms to secure a safe, quiet government desk job, he still ended up forced right back into the teaching role at the academy. The Ninja Academy of Kita. His new name is Kazami Mugetsu, but he still remembers being Tsukishi from his past life. Glancing around the office, he notes the creepy familiarity of lesson plans, pencil cups, and stacks of paper. But the normal office clutter has one terrifying addition, a sharp kunai. Lying on a desk, it quietly reminds him what these kids are being trained for. They will one day kill each other, and reincarnation is not even the worst of it. His new body belongs to an orphan raised by the Shadow Branch since childhood. A cold operative, positioned here by Ganzo to closely monitor the students. And scout geniuses. Honestly, having that shady pot shogun pull his strings is terrifying. Talk about a nightmare first day, while he tries to survive this deadly village. A cold, robotic voice echoes inside his mind. A glowing blue screen appears. Right before his eyes, the legendary teacher system has finally awakened. Giving lessons grants him sweet rewards. The more talented the student, the better. He can also recruit elite pupils for specialized, one-on-one ninja training. His own strength scales up as his disciples grow stronger. But there's a catch. The process requires absolute mutual consent. No forced apprenticeships allowed, mutual consent only. Opening his personal status window, he reviews his attributes. Kazami Mugetsu, age 18, with 4,300 chakra. Skills include 3 body technique. Fire release Great Fireball, Phoenix Sage Fire, and Flash Step technique. Along with Kita-style Taijutsu, the system evaluates him as an elite chunin but basically high quality, cannon fodder if war ever breaks out. That brutal reality check stings, so he immediately closes the screen. His apprentice page is totally blank. He needs to find students fast. When the bell rings, he grabs his lesson plans for first period. Despite being a total rookie, they assigned him a freshman homeroom. Looking at the roster, he spots Midatai Eiko, Hajino Akoda, and Kameizuka Izuo. The future gatekeepers of Kita, but wait, look at this next name. Kagamiya Shinji. This kid is destined to summon a giant spirit titan. Using just one eye, talk about hitting the ultimate jackpot on day 1. He puts on a warm, gentle teacher smile before stepping inside. The noisy room of 5- and 6-year-olds falls into wary silence. These seats are tiered upward so everyone can see. One little girl in the front row immediately breaks the silence, with a purple ponytail and no hesitation. She asks brightly if this handsome big brother is really going to be there. New teacher, he smiles warmly, confirming that he is indeed their homeroom instructor. Today, she lets out a proud little laugh, deciding right then that Mugetsu is a good guy. The other kids finally relax and he chalks his full name on the blackboard, introducing himself as Kazami Mugetsu, saying he looks forward to working with them. Eiko speaks up first, leading class into a wave of introductions. Shinji politely joins. Mugetsu quietly pings his system, hoping that having a classroom full of kids call him teacher is enough to register Shinji as his disciple, but the system stays stubbornly silent, so much for trying to exploit a bug. He swallows his disappointment and presses on, asking who actually knows how Kita was first founded. The room instantly gets quiet, that awkward silence of kids terrified of being wrong. Shinji keeps quiet because he hates standing out in a crowd. Finally, Eiko thinks it over and guesses that regular people built it. He tells her she is right but incomplete, then transitions straight into the Warring States period. He describes how kids their age were handed deadly weapons. He tells how the Shogun and Kagamiya clans stepped forward together to build Kita so the next generation would never have to fight. He finishes with that classic line about leaves dancing and fire shadows lighting up the village. He speaks with deliberate solemnity about the ancestors' selfless devotion, framing it all as the legendary will of fire. The kid's eyes go wide with inspiration. Shinji especially notices something. Thoughtful flicker crosses his face. He is a Kagamiya, and he definitely noticed that Mugetsu gave his clan equal credit alongside the shogun. He smoothly transitions from there into a quick question about chakra natures. Bright student answers 5. He gently corrects him with 7, adding yin and yang to the basic elements. That wrong then right rhythm works. Wonders, making the lessons stick in their minds far better than any simple recital. 4 school periods fly by before anyone even notices. When he announces that tomorrow they will cover refining chakra, the class is stunned. The day is over. Eiko is already desperate for tomorrow. Kota whispers to Izuo that his cousin totally lied about school being a nightmare. Izuo dryly suggests that Kota could easily blackmail his cousin for free snacks instead. Kota calls Izuo a total genius and promises him half the haul. As Mugetsu heads out, his system finally chimes in with its verdict: lecture complete, evaluation grade A. Praise is high, and Shinji, watching closely, quietly stands and follows him out. 3 rewards drop in quick succession. He gains advanced perception ninjutsu, appraisal technique, and fire release chakra nature mastery. The last one floods his head with the vivid memories of an old shinobi who spent his career chasing fire. It is incredibly lifelike. Shinji catches him before he sits, asking respectfully if they can talk. Mugetsu leads him behind the empty school building, scanning the entire area with his new perception ninjutsu. Only after confirming no strong chakra signatures are nearby does he turn to ask if something from class confused him. Shinji shakes his head, finally asking the heavy question he has been carrying: if they jointly founded Kita, why do people only remember the shogun? Why do villagers on the street look? He stares at the crest on the boy's back with a touch of quiet dislike. Comparing Hashira's reputation with Mero's is its own answer, but he stays silent. He simply asks if the boy has only read the Kagamiya side of their history. When Shinji nods, he sighs, calling it a long story for a quick hallway chat. As the boy politely starts to withdraw, the teacher adds a small invitation. If he has free time after school, he can come find him to learn the true history. After all, he admits he owes the boy's clan a deep debt of gratitude. Shinji's eyes widen as he hears that his savior's parents were rescued by a Kagamiya. A legendary ninja named Kaichai saved them, and he has never forgotten that kindness. Shinji is completely astonished because Kaichai was his own grandfather. The young ninja is not one to demand payment, but he quietly thanks the teacher. He accepts the invitation, and before he leaves, the teacher runs a quick appraisal. Shinji has 500 chakra, double S potential, and Sage Path bloodline. He is suited for fire and illusion arts, making him the perfect student to recruit. Heading back, he marvels that this kid is a walking gold mine. Checking his own status panel, he notices that his evaluation has shifted. He is now highly proficient in fire release nature transformation. If he can only fix his low chakra reserves, he will easily reach elite status. This mastery is incredible, granting him fire control that rivals the greatest masters. It is nearly equal to the third shogun, but his excitement is quickly cut short. He remembers the shadow branch curse mark bound tightly on his tongue. Worse, Ganzo loves sending his subordinates directly to their graves. To survive, he desperately needs to recruit talented disciples right away. He must gain enough power to either take Ganzo out or secure his own freedom. Inside the office, 3 other teachers are loudly complaining about their difficult students. He quietly uses appraisal on the two men and one woman sitting nearby. A teacher named Aikya Yu comes back as a standard chunin with mediocre stats. He has low C-tier potential, and the others are just as unimpressive. Yu is griping about being stuck with two terrible students, Goro and Arito. Even worse, his family arranged a blind date for him tomorrow afternoon. It clashes perfectly with his class time, leaving his colleague, Yuta Aya, to chime in. She tells him the date is crucial and suggests finding a quick substitute. Before anyone else can respond, our main character steps forward to offer help. He is free tomorrow afternoon and is happy to cover the class for him. Inwardly, he is thrilled at this chance to observe Orito and Goro talk about a lucky break. Aya notices him and asks how his very first teaching session went. She jokingly wonders if her trick to ease his nerves actually helped out. He playfully replies that his students told him not to be so picky. She bursts out laughing, convinced his first day was a massive success. Meanwhile, inside the main office, the third shogun watches him closely. Using a crystal ball, the leader observes his lecture on the will of fire. Stroking his beard, he finds this young shadow branch ninja rather impressive. He clearly possesses a true understanding of what their village stands for. The shogun knows that Ganzo trains hidden ninja off the official books. He tolerates it as long as things do not get completely out of hand. He keeps a close eye on the academy personally. The unexpected part is that this young shadow branch member spent his very first class teaching the will of fire and inspiring responsibility in the children. He decides to watch his future performance. If the boy proves talented, he might pull him out of the shadow branch himself. For now, he must consider his old classmates' feelings before making any demands. He shuts off his sensory jutsu and returns to paperwork, planning another quiet patrol of the village later that evening. After dinner, Shinji heads toward the sparsely populated southeastern district where the young ninja lives, easily spotting the modest wooden home. As Shinji steps through the gate, he witnesses a scene that completely stops him. Just moments earlier, the young ninja finished checking his own reflection. The dreaded tongue-cutting seal is indeed inked right onto his skin. This cruel mark is mandatory for all Shadow Branch members. It instantly paralyses them if they speak of forbidden secrets. This prevents captured or rogue ninja from talking, but there is a darker worry. Ganzo might be able to activate it remotely, creating a deadly leash. He desperately searches his memories for any way to break this seal. Only one clear solution exists, and that is simple: the curse only breaks when Ganzo dies, but that paranoid commander is no glass cannon. He hides deep inside the base, guarding his life with paranoid obsession. Perhaps the leader even carries a rare revival item on his person. He puts that plan aside. His only options are Oromaru, who is unreachable, or doing his own research. That leaves study, a sharp spike of. A sudden flare of chakra warns him that Shinji is approaching the yard. He waits, and the moment Shinji enters, he unleashes a powerful fireball jutsu. The intense heat instantly incinerates his training dummy, scorching the earth. The massive flame is 8 meters wide. Shinji freezes in absolute shock. He has seen elite Jonin use that C-rank technique, so he knows how incredible this is. The boy simply waves it off, inviting him in. That stunning reaction is exactly the foundation he wanted to lay. Inside, over simple cups of water, he shares the true history of the clan. He explains how Mero's betrayal would have ruined them if Hashira was not strong enough. He reveals how Tabira, always suspicious of their bloodline, designed strict rules to keep them suppressed. Naturally, the clan's radicals rebelled, plotting to seize power, only to be locked away by Shadow Core. This tragic spiral slowly erased all their ancient achievements from public memory. Shinji falls silent, absorbing the harsh truth. He smoothly guides the talk toward Shinji's grandfather, calling Kaicha a true hero who carried the will of fire, acting as a crucial bridge to ease tensions with the village. Up until now, Shinji had only ever heard his grandfather described as a powerful genius. Now, with quiet determination, the boy admits he wants to become a proud ninja like that himself. In the same breath, he accidentally calls Kaichai grandfather, quickly realizing his little slip of the tongue. Flushing, he tells him not to worry about favors and suggests he ask him. Tsukishi asks the boy to become his disciple, framing it as the only way he can adequately repay his family debt, but Shinji worries the deal is too one-sided. He worries for this kind teacher who repays goodness. At the same time, he also knows that studying under a powerful, knowledgeable master is a genuinely good idea. After a long, quiet moment, the boy nods and calls him Tsukishi-sensei. A system prompt appears, asking if Tsukishi wants to establish a master-disciple bond. He accepts a relationship with Kagamiya Shinji without hesitation. The notification that follows reveals their trust level starts at 2, unlocking new training and gifting systems. He unlocks disciple training feedback and gifting returns. The first means Shinji's growth feeds back into his own power, amplified by trust. At level 2, a point of chakra for Shinji means 2 points for Tsukishi. The second feature triggers daily random rewards, giving better prizes once per day. Tsukishi immediately hands the boy a fire release nature transformation booklet that he wrote earlier. He tells the boy seriously that he will check his progress and will not lower his standards just because of some debt of gratitude. Shinji bows deeply. Thanks, clutching the booklet tightly. Suddenly, the system rings with a critical reward. He gains the proficient level Great Dragon Fire technique. Instantly, 1,000 hours of training memories slam into his head. It is a flexible B rank fire technique. Its hand seals can eventually be simplified down to just 1. Multiple dragons can even be released at once. Watching Shinji walk away, Tsukishi stops seeing a child and starts seeing an endless gold mine of daily rewards. He offers to walk the boy home, but Shinji politely refuses, mentioning his uncle visits often and that he is used to being alone. Tsukishi knows there will be plenty of chances to raise his trust. The next morning, teacher Aikya is still spiraling over his blind date. Meanwhile, Tsukishi heads to class where Kota and Izuo are brainstorming the latest prank for Kota's cousin War. Izuo's new plan is to wreck the cousin's room as a game, leaving him to get scolded. Gets in trouble for the mess. Kota declares that with Izuo by his side, he is as invincible as Hashirama and Taburama. Tsukishi steps up to the podium and lectures on chakra, the fusion of physical and spiritual energy. He releases some from his hand so they can feel it, scattering jokes and short. Everyone awake. Near the end of class, Tsukishi runs appraisal on the entire room to check their stats. Eiko comes back with a stunning potential A. Kota and Izuo both hit B-, alongside another student he does not. No, Shinji, however, is in a complete league of his own. The rest are mostly spread through C and D, making Shinji look like an absolute monster. Eiko's high grade surprises him, especially since she seemed so average in the original story. She is cute and incredibly talented, but he only has limited disciple slots. One is already taken by Shinji, and the others cannot be wasted on average kids, not with Ganzo breathing down his neck. Cute looks will not get him out of the shadow branch. The system rates his class at A, rewarding him with the legendary multiple shadow clone technique. It is a highly versatile move from start to finish. Unfortunately, Tsukishi's current chakra pool makes it completely useless in practice. Later, during lunch in the office, his colleagues are actively brainstorming date ideas for Aikyu, a tall teacher named Kimura Sujito. Hyuta reminds him to dress neatly and not look sloppy, though Aikyu swears he knows that much. Hyuta sighs, warning him that the real risk is his habit of bragging through the entire conversation. Aikyu swells up with pride, telling her she will just have to wait and see. She notices Mugetsu entering and compliments his class, one grade 1 class, praising the lively atmosphere. He thanks her with his usual modesty, deflects the praise, and credits her useful tips. He credits her useful tips and his well-behaved students, prompting a warm smile from her. She even shares some of her snacks with him, which deeply stings the envious Aikya-yu. Having been her colleague for 2 years, Aikya-yu has barely tasted any of her treats. Mugetsu chats briefly, then pulls out his brush and ink to practice calligraphy during lunch. He picked up this skill during college in his past life, keeping it as a rare good habit. As the afternoon bell draws near, he gathers his things and heads to Class 2 Grade 4. Inside, a student points out that the substitute teacher was supposed to be Aikya. He barely finishes explaining the swap when Orito bursts into the room. The boy is panting heavily, apologizing for being late because he was helping an old lady. Mugetsu nods him to his seat and quietly sweeps his system appraisal over the classroom. Nanorin displays 300 chakra and B+ potential, while Midagoro shows even greater promise. Goro has 600 chakra and S potential, perfect for Taijutsu. Kagamiya Orito holds 650 chakra and S potential with a Sage Path bloodline. The kid possesses rare spacetime talent, making him another highly recommended disciple. The rest of the class scales moderately, though Kagamiya Takedo ranks at an impressive A level. The others are mostly C and D ranks, but Mugetsu teaches with his signature, engaging style. Orito, tired of boring textbook lectures, blurts out that Mugetsu teaches much better. He boldly adds that if Mugetsu taught him every day, he would surely pass. Mugetsu smiles, teasingly threatening to report the boy's late arrival to teacher Aikya. Orito instantly panics and starts begging for mercy, making the entire class burst out laughing. During the long recess, he uses perception ninjutsu to check the school grounds for spies. No prying chakra signatures are found nearby. Mugetsu calls Midagoro and Orito out to the corridor, with Orito still pleading frantically. He begs him not to tell teacher Aikya, unable to read his new instructor's mind. Mugetsu tells him his silence depends entirely on their performance, keeping things teasingly vague. Midagoro scratches his head, wondering why he was summoned when he did nothing wrong. Just look at Goro, the kid who will one day nearly kick a god into oblivion. This is the very boy whom the legendary Maro will eventually crown as the strongest. Right now, though, he is just an ordinary kid running around in a green jumpsuit. Goro still has no real understanding of his father's passionate ideals about youth and self-discipline. He notes that their poor test scores give teacher Aikya constant headaches. Orito hangs his head and protests that the written test problems make no sense. He cannot see the point of weird word problems or memorizing ancient history. Goro nods along in agreement, admitting he can never retain historical facts either. Mugetsu tells them gravely that they must take up that complaint with their principal. Since the third shogun is in charge, they are welcome to ask him directly. He warns that their current downward spiral is bad for them and teacher Aikya. Orito's eyes light up at the mention of a secret shortcut to success. Mugetsu reveals his great secret, actually studying and doing practice problems. It is indeed a mystery to lazy kids, so he sweetens the bait even further. With the exam 1 month away, Tsukishi promises them personal ninjutsu or taijutsu training. Midagoro immediately shouts that this is what hot-blooded youth feels like. Orito promises to pass the exam this time as Tsukishi walks them to class. Walking back, he smiles, pray, elite hunters always look like targets. Pass or fail, Tsukishi has already positioned himself as their ultimate mentor. If they fail, he can still offer training as a comforting, face-saving gift. It builds massive goodwill while praising their hard work along the way. There is no need to force them into a formal discipleship just yet. The strategy he used to secure Shinji's loyalty will not work on these two. Teaching them occasionally makes building long-term bonds a pretty difficult task. Back in the classroom, Ren asks if Orito got punished, but he instantly objects. Tsukishi-sensei is amazing, he insists, because he just gave him the secret to passing. He even warns Ren to study hard so he does not leave her behind. She laughs softly, teasing that it would be wonderful if he actually could do it. For exactly 3 minutes, Orito becomes the most dedicated student in the class. He hunches over his desk, trying to choose his first dream ninjutsu technique. Moments later, he faceplants onto the wood, fast asleep, earning a heavy sigh from Ren. Classic Orito. Suddenly, a piece of chalk arcs beautifully across the room. It hits his forehead. He sits bolt upright, met by Tsukishi's serene, smiling face. Seeing Goro studying hard, he blushes and snaps back to attention. The system evaluates the session, granting an A-rank reward, the Kata Whirlwind. It is a powerful taijutsu style that originally belongs to Mida Goro. The single spinning kick looks incredibly basic, but it is deceptively difficult. Posture, muscle output, and chakra flow must all fire in perfect unison. Problem solved. Tsukishi had been quietly wondering what to teach Goro anyway. After school, he heads into the southern forest, searching for a secret training ground. Elder Ganzo knows his home address, which makes training there too risky. Ganzo possesses a deep hatred for the Kagamiya clan and watches them closely. If he discovers Tsukishi teaching Shinji secretly, he will instantly assume treason. Sensing techniques exist, but keeping them active drains too much limited chakra. Instead, Tsukishi decides to take Shinji outside the city limits for his special training. He finds a quiet, hidden spot by a small river and marks the route. He heads home and, trust me, his cautious approach was completely justified. Stepping into his courtyard, he spots a masked ninja waiting in the shadows. The intruder presents a scroll containing urgent, new orders from Lord Ganzo. He addresses Tsukishi by his secret Shadow Branch code name, Nike. The messenger leaves immediately to avoid drawing any unwanted attention from the core. Just a pawn, he quietly appraises the retreating Jonin, Harada Iro. With 7,000 chakra and B-rank potential, the man is genuinely powerful. Tsukishi feels a surge of envy at such massive, raw energy reserves. Once his senses confirm the area is completely clear, he opens the scroll. It details Kagamiya Shinji, the legendary young genius of the Kagamiya clan. Tsukishi must spy on the boy, gauge his character, and evaluate him. Complete madness. Shinji is only 6 years old, making Ganzo's paranoia pathological. The child was barely admitted into the academy because of a tiny rumor. A genius has emerged, and Ganzo wants to size him up for the Shadow Branch. But he highly doubts it. The third shogun would never let that happen. Kagamiya prodigies either stay obediently in the clan or join the Shadow Corps. This task is within his limits, even without Ganzo prompting him. He would have reported Shinji's talent during his normal reporting cycle anyway. Trying to hide things when Ganzo already has eyes on them would invite suspicion. He burns the scroll, then he creates a shadow clone. This clone will handle the ninjutsu practice while his real body refines chakra. Without massive chakra, any powerful ninjutsu he hoards is completely useless. This spiritual energy alone sets both the ceiling and floor of his strength. The next morning he has no classes. He slips into the archives. Inside, he grabs the 4th grade exam papers from the past years to study. While browsing, he grabs the 1st grade papers too. He has goals. He wants to recruit disciples and keep his promise to raise scores. Comparing the exams side by side, he immediately finds exactly what he wanted. The question banks recycle heavily, only changing a few minor details. Some questions repeat word for word. He won't even have to push them too hard. Goro and Arito won't need brutal drilling. 2 years of papers will do. That should easily get them to pass. He grabs his stack and walks back. He walks right into a heated office argument between Aikya Yu and Yuta Aya. Aikya Yu insists the girl listen to him, meaning she must be interested. She even offered to split the bill, which he believes is a fantastic sign. But Yuta Aya shuts him down with some brutally realistic logic. Maybe she just didn't want to talk, so she let him do all of the speaking. and splitting the bill prevents him from asking her out on a second date. Honestly, who doesn't love workplace drama? Kimura quickly fills him in on the details. Desperate, Aikya turns directly to him, hoping for secret tips to win her over. He thinks for a moment, advising that letting the other person feel your sincerity is key. It is incredibly generic advice, but it perfectly fits his kind teacher persona. Aya bluntly tells Aikya to just give up on her. What works for our extremely handsome main character will never work with a face like his. Aikya protests that the gap isn't even that big, but she just sighs deeply. She warns he won't believe it until he fails. He smiles encouragingly. Privately, he hopes the guy stays busy chasing her. That means free classes. He can substitute teach the 4th grade. That afternoon, he runs a quick experiment. He intentionally drops his teaching quality down a notch to test out the system. System evaluation depends on both content quality and student satisfaction. Getting his first grade rewarded him with a massive one-time system bonus. He suspects getting his first B grade will trigger a similar reward. Talk about a massive win. The class ends with a B grade, earning him 20 chakra. Plus, he unlocks a brand new technique, proficient chakra form transformation. This manipulation style is just as powerful as nature transformation itself. With 0 attribute limits, it belongs to the same family as Naruto's spiral orb. The spiral orb is the ultimate form transformation skill, requiring no elements. It is incredibly strong on its own, and now he can build it. He compares his progress to the original plot. Getting 20 chakra per B rank evaluation is huge. It gives him a perfect excuse to aim for B rank evaluations from now on. One tiny boost is small, but stacking them is key. His days now follow a tight routine. Daytime lectures, training Shinji in the evenings, then focusing on cultivation and developing ninjutsu at night. On weekends, he runs special training sessions with Goro and Ordo. He would gladly keep this peaceful routine for years. Sadly, he did not transmigrate into a quiet era by his 4th day in this world. Grim news arrives from the front lines. Minor skirmishes have escalated into an all-out clash. Reigakure has deployed forces into the land of geysers on the border of the land of flame. Rumors claim the 8-tailed host has finally appeared. Hearing this, he knows the 3rd Ninja World War is starting. It might have quietly begun. As a Shadow Branch ninja, his original body knew quite a bit more than average ninja, ever since Silver Fang ended his own life last year. The world has been filled with dark undercurrents. Reigakure, Ganseki, and Sabakuno are all stirring. In his past life, he thought Silver Fang was just another famous powerhouse. However, his new host memories show the terrifying truth. He was known for brutal, highly efficient slaughter. Armed with only a short chakra blade, he acted like an absolute mowing machine on the battlefield. Anyone weaker than him perished in a single flash of blinding white light. It was not that he was the absolute strongest alive, but his style completely crushed weaker foes. No one weaker than him ever stood a chance, now that Kita has lost his protection. Reigakure and Ganseki believe they can finally challenge for the top spot. They barely suffered losses in the second war, leaving them confident enough to strike. Aya sighs that the Reigakure forces just cannot seem to sit still. Aikyu growls that if Silver Fang were alive, they would never dare try. Kimura Sujido tries to ease the tension, noting Kita still has the 3rd Shogun in Araumaru to lead them to another victory. Our main character asks the real question: if an actual war breaks out, do academy teachers get deployed to fight? On the front, Aya answers that it depends. If things turn bad, teachers get drafted based on their specialty. He silently prays to any listening gods that he gets skipped or drafted late. We all know how bloody this 3rd Ninja World War is going to get. Kita faces all 4 other great villages at once, while Murao and Black Wraith pull strings from the shadows. He is not particularly afraid of combat, but being thrown onto the front lines before he is fully prepared. Kimura Sujito quickly insists that their village is too strong to ever need teachers. On the battlefield, he simply smiles, claiming he only asked to stay prepared. He cannot say out loud that he wants to avoid it entirely. Next, he practices calligraphy until the bell rings, walking into Class 1, Grade 1, the shadow of war has not reached the children yet, and the room is incredibly lively. 2 days passed since Kota tried that room-wrecking plan, he grimly reports that his cousin retaliated with the exact same method. They fought and argued back and forth until they finally declared a truce, calling the whole tactic a forbidden ninjutsu. Izio laments that the cousin is far too clever and admits he is completely out of ideas. Kota then offers to return the favor, asking Izio about his own troubles. Izio shyly admits that he likes a girl in his neighborhood, but has absolutely no clue how to get close to her. Kota suggests giving her something she likes. Izio remembers that she always stares at his family's flower garden when she passes by. Since her family doesn't grow any, he concludes she must love them. Kota confidently suggests flowers. The young teacher clears his throat and starts class, silencing the room. He delivers his lecture with that trademark warmth they've already come to expect. The system wraps up, awarding him a grade. His reward is the water formation wall, a B-rank defensive technique that summons a massive barrier. Tabarama famously used this to shield himself from all angles for absolute 360-degree defense. As the jutsu details flood his mind, he realizes the system has also gifted him water-style nature transformation. Without this fundamental master skill, he wouldn't even be able to cast it. He gives the helpful system a silent thumbs up. After school, he takes Shinji to the river spot he scouted, outlining their training plan. He promises to teach him a powerful new fire style, clapping his hands once. He spits out 3 massive fire dragons that swirl through the air before diving into the river, sending up thick steam clouds. Shinji instantly recognizes the attack as the legendary Great Dragon Fire technique, once used by Kagami Jonin. But seeing 3 dragons summoned with just a single seal leaves him completely speechless. The teacher smiles at his student's burning curiosity, telling him to watch closely again. By the next day, he continues the lesson, breaking down the mechanics in plain terms, explaining how to compress an immense volume of raw chakra into a draconic form instantly, while simultaneously manipulating its elemental nature. It is a complex feat, but Shinji understands the theory perfectly. He weaves his hand signs rapidly, molding and condensing his energy, and unleashes a 1-meter-tall fire dragon that spins and crashes into the water. The teacher claps, admitting he fully expected this to take many more tries. He underestimated the boy's talent, but Shinji remains incredibly humble. Praising his mentor's guidance, he even boasts that his crimson mirror eye stayed inactive. He can only use it, not master it yet, so the teacher demonstrates it multiple times to let him study. Soon, the sun begins to dip below the horizon. Packing up his gear, Shinji jokingly asks if his master's soothing voice is a secret genjutsu designed to make people lose all track of time. The mentor chuckles and hands him a handwritten booklet containing his personal notes. Shinji bows deeply, receiving the gift with immense respect. His devotion grows stronger every day. In just 4 days, his master has held absolutely nothing back. In return, the system triggers a massive critical reward, wind style pressure damage at a proficient level. This top-tier technique boasts terrifying power and range, which will pair perfectly with his existing fire release arsenal. It also unlocks wind nature transformation, opening up incredible new possibilities. Now he can prioritize upgrading his spiral orb into a deadly wind-style shuriken, which he prioritizes over the fire-enhanced version. After a few days of experimenting, the disciple return system has become crystal clear. The rewards actually depend on 2 factors: the quality of the gift and the disciple's raw gratitude. Since heartfelt gratitude is weighted more, Even simple homemade food yielded 50 points. Chakra back, same category of gift, but with a different heart, different. Reward, understanding this, Mu starts planning how to set up a big drop. He will check Shinji's files at the academy tomorrow to find out his exact birthday. His 5th day in this world brings him one scheduled afternoon class and a substitute shift for a 3rd grade teacher who needs 2. Step out, Mu happily accepts. One class yields 20 chakra, while the other yields fire. Release, great fireball technique. He already has it, but the system reveals a pleasant subtlety. Duplicate ninjutsu convert into additional cultivation. Experience for the technique he already knows, acting like a +1 upgrade in a game. Yuda warns him he is too easygoing, saying other teachers will eat him alive with substitute requests if he does not push back. He smiles and says they are all colleagues who should help each other. She does not know what to say. She feels quite dazed that such a selfless teacher actually exists. After all, substituting brings no extra salary, making it essentially free labor over the weekend. Per their agreement, Muzue brings Arito and Mitagoro at 8 in the morning to the same riverbank he uses with Shinji. Their special training officially begins. Arito flops onto the desk Muzue set up, complaining about waking early on a weekend. Goro scratches his head, unable to relate. Muzue hands out the test papers he wrote himself, tailored to their 5 days of lessons rather than last year's monthly exam. Shinji arrives soon after, curious to find Arito and Goro slumped over test papers with tortured expressions. Muzue explains they are 4th graders he is currently tutoring, telling Shinji to go ahead and train as usual. His arrival is no coincidence. Honestly, Muzue planned this entire thing on purpose. He figured it would be useful to have older students doing boring test papers while their younger schoolmate practices ninjutsu in plain sight. Arito looks up from his exercises and freezes when he sees Shinji, recognizing him at once. The Kagamiya clan lives together on the land Kita set aside for them, so children of the same generation know each other, at least by reputation. Genius like Shinji is constantly talked about by elders as the ultimate example of someone else's perfect child. Arito feels a little confused why Shinji is here and why he seems so familiar with Muzue. A pretty wild guess forms in his head. Maybe Muzue is a distant relative of Shinji's, while Arito is lost in thought. Mitagoro suddenly shouts with full vigor that he is done. Arito stares at him dumbfounded. Goro has not been writing for that long, so why is he already finished? He leans over to check. Goro has only done the first 3 multiple-choice questions. The rest are completely blank, leaving Arito speechless. The whole test paper has only 10 questions, with 4 multiple-choice and 6 open-ended. Even when Arito does not know an answer, he at least tries to fill the paper in to make it look better. Muzue walks over to check Goro's answers. Goro got 2 wrong, meaning only the first question is correct. He looks at those 2 wrong answers out of the only 3 he attempted, completely at a loss for words. Muzue smiles comfortingly and tells him it is okay if he knew everything already, he would not need a tutor. He tells Goro not to feel bad about a low score. Looking at it from another angle, he has a lot of room for improvement. Improving from 5 points to 25 is far easier than climbing from 80 to 100. Goro's body trembles. This is his first real encouragement. His morale instantly soars. He eagerly agrees that the teacher is right. There is plenty of room to improve. He listens closely to the advice. He focuses intensely, trying hard to understand the most difficult concepts. Next up is Arito, who only answered 2 out of 6 questions correctly. The teacher comforts him first, before gently explaining his mistakes. Once done, the instructor pulls out 2 more identical worksheets and hands them over. Arito instantly groans, his eyes glued to the training ground nearby. He watches Shinji begin fire release training, his hands moving in a blur. Shinji unleashes a 2-meter fireball that arches directly toward the river. Arito gapes. He stares at the massive blazing sphere with absolute admiration. Like every Kagamiya, Orito actually knows the classic Great Fireball technique himself. Yet his own fireball looks like a tiny pebble compared to Shinji's giant blast. Garo doesn't know Shinji personally, but he quickly estimates the boy's young age. He realizes this kid is barely 6 or 7, yet wielding immense ninjutsu power. His mind immediately flashes to his rival, Kentaro, who is also a genius. Kentaro skipped half his school years, passing his early graduation exams with ease. That proved his incredible talent, and Shinji gives off that exact same vibe. To Goro, Shinji feels like another Kentaro. Suddenly, the boy switches to another jutsu. He unleashes the great dragon fire technique, deepening Goro's shock. Goro has trained 3 years just on basic clones, barely mastering them even now. Orito watches the fiery dragons circle the sky, completely unable to hide his envy. If he could pull that off, he would definitely win Ren's heart. The teacher approaches. He praises Shinji, noting his form transformation has improved since yesterday. His fire dragon is much faster now, meaning he definitely practiced at home. Shinji humbly credits the guidebook. The teacher steps forward, claps his hands, and exhales. 3 massive fire dragons erupt into the sky. Orito's jaw drops. Compared to these 3 giants, Shinji's dragon looks like a tiny loach next to a snake. On top of that, it seems the teacher used absolutely no hand signs at all. High above, the flaming beasts rearrange themselves to form a very clear, fiery message. Stop staring and get back to work. Reading this, Orito instantly snaps his head down. He finds his teacher staring back at him with a warm, gentle smile. Frightened, he stammers that he was just resting his eyes after working so hard. Glancing sideways, he notices Goro has already picked up his pen, completely focused once more. Orito quickly copies him, but curiosity eventually gets the better of his wandering mind. He asks about his relationship with Shinji. The teacher replies they are master and disciple. Glad he kept his wilder theories to himself, Orito quickly changes the subject. He eagerly asks if passing means he will get to learn that spectacular fire technique. The teacher nods. Instantly, Orito's face lights up as he begins to daydream. He's already imagining how he will show off in front of his beloved Ren. Meanwhile, Goro doesn't care about fire. His focus is entirely on physical combat. Seeing this, the teacher walks over to a massive tree without saying a word. Channeling chakra into his leg, he tenses his muscles and delivers a devastating whirlwind kick. With a sharp crack, the trunk snaps and crashes down in a cloud of dust. Brushing off his boots, he casually asks Goro if this is the style he wants. His eyes light up instantly, as if he just stumbled upon the ninja technique of his dreams. It is fast, powerful, and absolutely cool, and he passionately begs his teacher to show him the ropes when the time comes. The instructor smiles and nods, promising to do exactly that as long as he keeps up his interest. His hype is fully expected. After all, this physical technique is actually his own future masterpiece. He will eventually build a massive lineup of variants, like the Great Whirlwind and Strong Whirlwind. There is no way he would not love it. With those reassurances, Orito and Goro are absolutely thrilled. Even their boring test papers seem a bit easier now. Orito rubs his hands together, boasting that he will get more than 4 questions right this time. Goro vows to pass with at least 3 correct, or run 500 laps. Around Kata tonight, he even plans to challenge Kentaro to a spar after mastering it. Then reality hits. That sudden wave of motivation evaporates almost instantly. Just a few questions deep, Orito hits a brick wall. Sure, he could summon a giant fireball if pushed to his absolute limits. He could easily throw 5 shuriken right into the bullseye at once, but when it comes to written theory, desperation changes nothing. He rests his chin in his hand, lazily spinning his pen. Even the outside leaves blowing in the breeze seem to mock his struggle. He quietly glances over at Goro. They have been classmates for 3 years, and both hang out with Kentaro, but They never actually hung out. They are not strangers, but definitely not friends. Whenever Orito looks at Goro, his immediate thoughts instantly jump straight to dead last. Orito only considers himself weak in certain academic areas. His physical ninjutsu and weapons training are decent, making the theory his only roadblock. He only looks bad because the other Kagamiya are so incredibly talented. Goro, however, is the officially recognized bottom of the class in literally everything. But look here, Goro is showing way more focus. The guy is still scratching his head, stubbornly pushing forward. Orito suddenly remembers a bold statement Goro made while others mocked him, that hard work would eventually make him the ultimate physical combat specialist. Orito had never joined in on the teasing. But back then he secretly rolled his eyes at those wild dreams. Now, he was wrong. Orito realizes Goro might not actually become the strongest. But he will easily outpace the lazy kids who once laughed at him. Making friends with him actually sounds like a pretty solid idea. Together they could finally take down Kentaro. He starts writing fiercely. Their teacher watches them from the side, a thoughtful look crossing his face. Nobody expected this kind of chemistry, but the restless Orito is quietly matching Goro's incredible focus. The mentor takes mental notes for later, finding a great way to push Orito. When the study session ends, he grades the sheets. Orito scores 3 and Goro gets 2 correct. Orito slumps onto the table, while Goro adds 500 laps to tonight's run. Their instructor comforts them, pointing out they are just 5 correct answers from passing. And improved in just an hour. Their faces light up. Success feels totally doable. The mentor smiles warmly and slides 2 brand new test papers forward. Orito stares at the fresh sheets and the 3 remaining weekends before the exam. His world goes dark, but he slowly grips his pen anyway. Stopping now would waste his progress. Meanwhile, Shinji finally recovers his chakra and dives straight back into his fire technique practice, sending blazing dragons soaring high into the sky. Orito keeps casting glances over. He hesitates, then finally asks, if they learn his ninjutsu, will they also be considered his disciples, just like Shinji? Mugetsu answers cryptically, if they want to be, then yes. Orito grins. Since they will be disciples eventually, why not start now? Mugetsu gives him a suspicious look. It is exactly what he planned, but Orito's move is just too fast. He pats his chest, promising he is definitely not trying to escape. Studying, he thinks they can easily do both. Then, he drags Goro in. Goro nods along, agreeing. Mugetsu asks what they will do if they fail. Orito says he will accept whatever Mugetsu decides. Goro agrees. Mugetsu acts hesitant. Pretending to be conflicted, Orito pushes harder, begging him to trust them. Mugetsu finally plays along. He promises that once they finish their test paper, he will teach them fire release, great dragon fire technique, and kata whirlwind. Orito cheers, calling him the best. Goro clenches his fists, promising to train hard. Right then, 2 system prompts pop up. Time to establish a master and disciple bond with Mida Goro. He looks at the screens, smiling. Yes, these kids just made an absolute steal. Both bonds are now established at trust level 2. He nods, worth playing the prey. He knew it was necessary to lure them in. Trust levels are tough to grind. Starting at level 1 would have made early rewards much smaller. Then a new notice appears. Having 2 disciples with S-rank potential has unlocked the teaching skill. This passive skill is simple but highly effective. It ensures that any knowledge he shares gets absorbed far more easily. Since there is absolutely no downside to this, he leaves the skill active by default. He would only switch it off if Ganzo noticed his talent and recruited him. The only real bummer is that daily disciple returns are still capped at once per day, regardless of how many disciples he takes on. He would love to feed all 3 and get 3 rolls, but with 3 disciples he can at least rotate them. Emotional thresholds rise under gradual stimulation, so cycling his targets keeps the big rewards flowing. His Panel updates showing Kazami Mugetsu, 18, with 4,405. Chakra, his skills include Fire Release Great Dragon Fire and Water Formation Wall. Plus Wind-style pressure damage and teaching. In 5 days he gained 105 chakra, 90 from classes, 15 from training. Most of his rewards have been ninjutsu rather than pure chakra. If he focused purely on chakra, he could easily gain at least 100 weekly. From classes alone, but for now, a rank evaluations or a 50-50. Split between A and B ranks is the smarter move. System ninjutsu. Come ready for combat, with nature transformation included. Duplicates increase his overall experience. Figuring that out on his own would take months, or read. Is finished, Goro is done too. Mugetsu immediately creates a shadow clone and sends it to explain and demonstrate the kata whirlwind to Goro. Since they are learning different skills, he cannot teach them together, or read. Learns first, the clone trains Goro, and after 30 minutes they swap. He is not playing favorites here, he wants to share guidance with everyone. He teaches them with the same step-by-step care he gave Shinji. With a critical hit, water style, water dragon bullet technique. Proficient level, he notes with interest that teaching Shinji the same great Dragon Fire earlier did not count as a disciple return reward, likely because that technique originally came from Shinji in the first place. Rewards derived from a disciple cannot be looped back into return rewards, he files that rule away, quietly hoping this water dragon bullet is not the 44 seal version from the original anime. The system's proficient level keeps things sensible. He only needs 6 hand seals, and with practice, that chain will shrink. Further, after 30 minutes with Orito, he switches to guiding Goro while his clone takes Orito. Between sessions, he also circulates to check on Shinji. At noon, he catches 4 fish from the river, lights a fire and roasts them, 1 for each. Orito loudly praises the grilled fish, saying he should open a barbecue shop. Shinji and Goro nod. He warns them to watch out for bones, admitting he has no real barbecue skill and rarely grills. The fish tastes good because the atmosphere is so warm. Shinji eats alone at home most nights. Orito eats with his grandmother. Goro eats with his father. None of them are used to eating outdoors with a group. Against that backdrop, ordinary grilled fish becomes delicious. After the meal, they rest for an hour and resume training. Orito looks at the chubby little Charmander he has just released and proudly declares that the ninjutsu is actually pretty easy. This went much smoother than his old great fireball. Training, right then, Shinji exhales his own Charmander at the same time. Shinji's little fire dragon is fierce, fanged, and imposing. Orito silently guides his Charmander to hide behind his back. Goro wipes sweat from his brow and happens to glance over. He walks up to comfort Orito, saying, "The Charmander is small, cute, and will grow strong one day." Orito accepts the comfort but feels a strange grievance. Yet that grievance becomes fuel. He cancels his rest and hurls himself back into practicing great Dragon Fire. Goro, not wanting to be outdone, rests briefly and resumes too. From the sidelines, he can barely hold back a laugh. Honestly, those two together are pure gold. They train until dinner. He sends each home and confirms tomorrow's training. Sunday goes the same way. The disciple return yields 50 chakra. A new week begins. In the morning, Kota finishes washing and eats breakfast in a rush. His mother asks, puzzled, why he is in such a hurry. Today, he says he has to go to school early to study. Not looking back, it is a perfunctory lie. Kota does not dislike school, but not every teacher is as lively as his tutor. The real reason he is so eager is his friend Izuo. And whether Izuo has taken the first step in his romance, he gave him the flower idea on Thursday. On Friday, Izuo said he was not brave enough and needed more time. Kota figures 2 weekend days should have been enough. The classroom is mostly empty when Kota arrives. 7 or 8 minutes later, Izuo drags himself in. Looking listless, Koda asks if he slept badly, but Izuo shakes his head. Did he give her the flowers over the weekend? Izuo's face only grows more dejected. She was not looking at the flower garden because she likes flowers. She has pollen allergies and was worried the pollen would blow over. Koda goes quiet. So, did you give her the flowers? Izuo's silence and resentful expression answer. For him, Koda pats his shoulder, offering comfort, remembering a certain cute girl who plays with Miho, suggesting they should all hang out sometime. Izuo instantly brightens, eagerly calling him Big Brother Koda. Koda then adds that over the weekend he came up with another brilliant plan to deal with his cousin. Izuo perks up even more, but then the teacher's voice cuts in. Class begins. They suddenly realize the bell already rang, too deep in conversation to notice it. Sitting up straight, they eagerly listen. After 2 days without his class, they actually realized how much they missed it, and he definitely does not disappoint. Letting a mountain of knowledge slip into their minds effortlessly, the system then closes with an A rank. The reward is water-severing wave. His eyes instantly light up. This is no ordinary ninjutsu, but a high-level technique developed by the second shogun. It shoots out a high-pressure linear water jet with absolutely devastating cutting power. Strong enough to sever massive tree roots easily. Talk about an amazing upgrade. Almost immediately, another good thing happens. In the office, Aikyu walks over, asking if he can substitute for him again for a ninjutsu class this afternoon. It is for Class 2, Grade 4. He maintains his perfect persona, asking with concern if Aikyu is feeling unwell, but he's fine. It's about a blind date. He has made plans to go shopping with her today. Yuta Aya immediately grumbles at him for scheduling a date on a work day, but she was only free today. He quickly adds that he hates troubling others, calling his friend far too kind. He always feels bad when his colleague helps out. Yuta Aya finally stops arguing. She honestly believes this date is doomed. If the girl actually liked him, she wouldn't keep making him trouble his coworkers. He just smiles and wishes Aikyu luck, saying it is good to stay busy. Besides, more lessons mean more rewards. He thanks him, promising to buy him dinner at the most expensive restaurant if things work out between them. He then dashes home to change, leaving Yuta Aya sighing. She warns that if he keeps this up, everyone will make him substitute. He just smiles, saying helping others brings joy and that colleagues should always support each other. She drops it. She silently watches him practice calligraphy, reflecting on the vast differences between people. When the time is right, he quietly tidies up his desk and heads over to Class 2, Grade 4. The bell rings just as he reaches the door, and he explains to the class that Aikyu-sensei has an engagement and he will be substituting for this afternoon's lesson. Everyone is present except for Orito. Suddenly, about 3 minutes in, he rushes inside, sees him at the podium, and stands completely dumbfounded. Panting heavily, Orito cannot believe his mentor is teaching his class. For a second, he actually thinks he walked into the wrong classroom. Then, he recognizes his classmates and realizes he did not. He quickly tries to explain that he did not mean to be late, claiming he stopped to help an elderly grandma. Another classmate finishes his excuse, sending the room into fits of laughter. Orito insists it is the truth, swearing that if he'd known his favorite teacher was here, he would have arrived half an hour early. He is absolutely terrified the man will think he isn't studying hard and stop mentoring him. He quietly tells him to sit down. He accepts the explanation, then adds that he shouldn't be late for Aikyu-sensei's class either. Ninjutsu classes at the academy actually start all the way from the first grade. But they only cover the basic 3, transformation, clone, and substitution. Spending years on 3 basic ninjutsu seems wasteful, but geniuses like Shinji are rare exceptions. For ordinary ninja aiming only for Chunin, mastering those 3 is tough, especially with other academy classes to juggle. The students had practiced basic clone techniques repeatedly, but his engaging ninjutsu lessons still made their eyes light up, helping one boy realize why his clones never Looked quite right. Another joked about wishing Ike-sensei stayed busy more often. Down the road, as the class cheered, he quietly kept his thoughts to himself. While thanking his teaching skill, soon, his system finalized an A-tier reward. Of lightning release, lightning clones, lightning nature transformation, and a massive pile of clone experience that unpacked in his mind, though not top tier. Magic unlocking another basic chakra nature felt great, especially after his impressive morning reward. Over the next 2 weeks, he settled into a rhythm where he researched ninjutsu theory whenever no one requested a substitute. But if a request came, he accepted instantly. At home, he tutored Shinji and Orido before refining his own chakra, because the quality of his substitute instruction was so high, every student he taught begged to have him back. Alongside his excellent rapport with peers, making him a famous academy teacher, whom students called perfect, highly engaging, and incredibly gentle. As well as handsome, fellow instructors saw him as sincere and kind, helping him build the exact flawless persona he wanted. Yet, walking home one quiet evening, he spotted yet another masked ninja waiting in his yard. Talk about zero privacy. The silent visitor was Harada Iro, reporting that his academy mission was successful, and that Lord Ganzo wanted these delivered. Handing over 2 scrolls, he watched him nod calmly in total silence, a hallmark of Shadow Branch agents, who avoided unnecessary small talk. Once the handoff finished, the messenger vanished. To protect his cover, sensing the dark chakra fade, he went inside to his private room to unroll the items. One scroll detailed a powerful great dragon fire technique, while the other held Ganzo's praise and fresh demands. The shadow leader praised how he took the initiative to integrate into academy affairs, presenting him with a high-level fire ninjutsu. As an incentive, Ganzo warned him not to get lazy, urging him to build momentum while keeping a close eye on Shinji and monitoring the other Kagamiya children. At the very end, Ganzo dangled a grand promise, claiming that continued success would help him earn a special Jonin rank and secure an influential academy post. Smiling, he lit a small fire and burned the scrolls. Special Jonin, yeah, he was definitely not interested in that. Had the host's original soul still inhabited this body, this hollow offer might have been motivating, but the fire technique reward was something he already mastered, and he had no desire for promotions. Anyway, none of Ganzo's empty promises held value, leaving him quietly laughing at the irony. He decided to train his real body while leaving his shadow clone to study, but he had already read every single ninjutsu book at home, prompting a trip to Keta's massive village library instead, which was established long ago during the second shogun's era and housed many ninja scrolls, though it only kept ordinary lower-tier ninjutsu. High-level and forbidden ninjutsu would never be left on these library shelves, and even the standard scrolls cost a fortune to borrow, but none of that mattered to him. He wasn't after ninjutsu anyway. He needed sealing techniques and restrictive cursed seals. Classroom lectures taught him techniques faster than practice. But to break his tongue-cutting seal, he needed serious, dedicated research. His walk to the library was actually the very first time his real body had ventured outside since transmigrating. He had spent over half a month hiding behind a shadow clone. Even when buying groceries, his whole situation had just felt far too fragile. After accumulating some new ninjutsu and boosting his chakra, he finally felt safe enough to breathe, knowing he wouldn't just die to some random stray attack. At the library, he handed his ninja registration book to the guard on duty, which held his ID and personal info. The facility was strictly for active ninja. The guard checked his papers, found no issues, and waved him through. But get this, just as he started his search, he ran into a very familiar figure, a man with golden hair and a gentle smile. Naminoya Minoru noticed his stare and glanced back. They shared a quiet, polite nod as their paths crossed. He immediately checked his stats. Name: Naminoya Minoru, chakra 40,000, potential S rank. The evaluation said killing elite Jonin was like slaughtering chickens, look too long and you'd practically blow up. His face remained completely stoic, but inside he was absolutely reeling. 40,000 chakra was the very first 5-digit stat he had ever seen. That was the equivalent of 86 separate Shinjis. The evaluation itself was terrifying. He could end Jonin effortlessly. Right now, Minoru didn't have his Golden Streak title yet. To the public, he was merely a capable Jonin. His master, Gajiro, was far more famous and stood as one of the leading shogun candidates. Still, Minoru's rating was spot on, with instant transmission fully mastered. Taking down ordinary Jonin was nothing short of child's play. A speedster like that was completely overwhelming against weaker foes. He privately regretted that Minoru didn't have a son enrolled in the academy yet. If he did, he could have easily engineered a way to become close friends with him. The man's mastery over sealing techniques was incredibly deep, making him quietly envious. Cursed seals were basically just a specialized branch of sealing. Anyway, having a master by his side would make breaking that annoying tongue-cutting seal a breeze. Korain, the high-profile tailed beast host, was simply too sensitive to approach. He didn't want to bring any dangerous trouble onto his own head. He picked up 2 books on sealing and 3 random, unrelated ones. He registered, paid, and left, soon in the Southern Mirror Forest. He was busy training his disciples for the upcoming exam. He reminded Orito and Goro of the big promise they had made. They absolutely had to pass tomorrow's written test. Orito loudly boasted that if he failed, his master could punish him however he pleased. They had spent almost all their time practicing physical ninjutsu, only rarely looking over classroom theory. On their most recent mock exam, Orito had scored a grand total of 30. By his math, that was well above passing. The school's passing mark was set at half the average, which usually hovered around 50. Goro yelled out that if he didn't pass, he'd run 800 laps around Kata. He had scored a 32. Orito then bragged that he wouldn't just pass theory, but claim the top spot in the practicals. Goro outright refused to hand him first place. He just smiled, keeping silent. He knew they might not win, as the Shirogami clan had a student in class 4-1 who was incredibly strong. Their potential is only a rank, but Orito and Goro have yet to unlock their true power. Orito has not awakened his Crimson Mirror Eye, and Goro still struggles. With their low levels and endless variables, absolutely nothing is guaranteed. But Shinji, he is just quietly reading. Kazami is entirely confident the boy will easily top both exams. He might even be the #1 student in the entire school. The system might even give him some sweet rewards. The next morning, tension fills Kazami's classroom as his students are visibly sweating. This is their first real exam, and Eiko asks if they are nervous. Both boys admit they are, but she proudly says there is nothing to fear. She plans to ace it easily, but Kota recalls getting an 80. Izuo scored 87, so they both worry the actual exam will be much harder. They might only get 60 or 70, which leaves Eiko totally shocked. Only 60 last time, but then a rumor drops. If their grades are too bad, they might lose their favorite teacher. Eiko panics, declaring they can replace anyone except for Kazami-sensei. Izuo agrees, since only Kazami's classes are actually fun and easy. They decide to share the news to motivate everyone, and Eiko jumps up. She breaks the news. Panic instantly erupts. Kota yells that they must work hard to avoid a boring replacement teacher. Another student vows to despise anyone who fails this time. Shinji ignores the drama, focused only on claiming first place. Then Kazami's voice cuts through the noise, telling them to settle down. The exam is almost here, and he only wants their best effort. Smiling from the doorway, he tells them he believes in them. He leaves quickly, as he is scheduled to proctor another class. Secretly, he knows the rumors are false. Teacher swaps take a whole semester. Besides, his practice test was much harder than the real deal anyway. Kazami walks into Class 2 of Grade 4 to start the exam. Proctors are assigned randomly, but the students here greet him warmly. This class happens to have Orido and Goro, his secret disciples. Since he covers this class often, they like him more than IQ. Goro inhales deeply, bracing for battle. Orido tells Ren to watch, promising to finally impress her today. She encourages him sweetly, telling him to focus on the easy questions. He nods just as teacher Kimura Sujido arrives to help Proctor. Once the bell rings, they distribute the exam sheets together. They patrol the aisles, pacing back and forth. Kimura Sujido whispers that IQ's bonus is definitely in danger. He is stuck with 2 dead last students, but Kazami just smiles. He replies that they might surprise everyone and pass this time. Kimura thinks he is too optimistic, pointing out their terrible track record. Kazami continues his rounds. The academy is suspended for 3 days. Today is theory, followed by 2 days of intense practical tests. 3 days without rewards. Growth will have to wait. His disciple return system is still working, though, after the theory. Exam, the teacher gives Orido some shuriken and gets 50 chakra. Orido thanks him emotionally, swearing he will use them to win first place at training. Ground 16, the teacher calls roll before the practical exam. The academy cannot fit the entire student body on one playground, so the exam is held at the training ground. After confirming attendance, Kimura Sujido and he announce the lot. Draw. The rules are simple, drawing numbers according to the class roster. 1 fights 2, 3 fights 4, and so on. Orido draws 1 and runs excitedly. To find Ren's number, she draws 10, putting Orido in the first match. He says confidently that any opponent is fine because he will win. A month of his training has left him feeling totally transformed. He asks Goro's number, 40. They can only meet in the final match. Goro gives him a thumbs up and tells him not to lose before he reaches the top. Orido snaps back that he is a proud Kagamiya, a classmate. Beside them grumbles that 2 bottom-tier students should not be talking. About meeting at the summit, the teacher calls the first match to order, Kagamiya Orido versus Kagamiya Takedo. Orido steps into the chalk square as Takedo comes in from the opposite end. Both are Kagamiya, same age both. Classmates and barely acquainted, no bad blood between them, neither has ever been interested in the other. Takedo thinks Orido is pretty foolish, weak, and always late. He has never seen such a weak clansman. Meanwhile, Orido thinks Takedo seems cold and hard to get along with. The watchers mutter and chuckle. Losing to a fellow clansman will be embarrassing. Some argue there is zero suspense. Takedo has been top of the class in 2nd and 3rd grade, except for the 1st grade year when Kentaro beat him. Ren worries for Orido, hoping he does not push himself too hard and get hurt. Goro, arms crossed, smiles. He believes Orido can win. The commotion from Class 2, Grade 4 draws onlookers from other classes eager to watch the coming fight. Right after the duel, they will form the reconciliation seal to show they are comrades. The teacher calls for the match to begin. Takedo draws 3 shuriken and throws them at Orido's head, body, and feet, then rushes forward. Orido throws 3 shuriken back. All 6 weapons collide midair with a sharp metallic ring, dropping together. Kimura Sujido murmurs that the Kagamiya's shuriken throwing is indeed exceptional. Takedo closes and throws a right hook. Orido meets it fist to fist as they begin grappling. Dust rises. The onlookers are completely taken aback. Orido is supposed to be the clan's absolute dead last, yet look at him trading blows. Ren opens her mouth in shock. She always thought his boasts were empty, but she was dead wrong this time. Kimura Sujido shakes his head, noting Orido is still lacking. The teacher nods. A single month is simply not enough to fix everything. Orido mainly trained fire release, and though his nature transformation improved greatly, his taijutsu did not. Just as Kimura Sujito predicted, Orito is pushed back, a spectator. Sighs in relief that his guess was right. Suddenly, Orito finds an opening, kicks off Takedo's fist to create distance, and begins forming hand. Seals, he did not practice fire release for a month just to exchange punches. Fire. Release great dragon fire technique. Orito completes the seals, gathering chakra into his mouth to unleash a ferocious fire dragon right at Takedo. Takedo. Stunned by Orito's physical growth, Takedo refuses to believe his magic will compare. He wants a direct clash. Fire release, he prepares a massive fireball. Takedo exhales a giant, man-sized flame, on one side a fanged fire dragon roars, the other holds a blazing fireball. Collision is imminent. Watching students gasp in envy, most have not even mastered basic cloning. Outsiders quickly drop the idea of Orito being a hopeless loser. Everyone realizes he acts much more like a top-tier honor student now. Someone whispers that Takedo's massive blast still looks bigger and will win. The senior instructor, Kimura Sujito, sighs, elite clan kids are just different. He is already writing a top grade for Orito, win or lose. Just as the two spells are about to collide, the dragon suddenly rises. It completely evades the fireball, diving straight down at Takedo. Orito moves instantly, dodging the fireball while maintaining control of his beast. Talk about a complete surprise. Takedo never expected this sneaky play. A great fireball cannot turn. Realizing he is too late, he braces. The teacher Flash steps to his side, grabs him, and carries him out of the arena. He sets him down safely. Takedo whispers his thanks. Without this save, injury was guaranteed. The teacher nods, announcing that the first match is over. Kagamiya Orito wins. Stunned onlookers can barely process what just happened here. They expected a massive head-on explosion, not a brilliant, sneaky mid-air redirect. Someone whispers that Orito is no longer someone to underestimate. Takedo's massive fireball looked impressive, but was simply hard to land. Orito's dragon fire has a smaller blast radius, but is far more flexible. Ren cheers loudly for Orito, genuinely happy. No more dead last labels. Defeating an elite means nobody can call Orito a failure anymore. A ninja proves his worth with pure strength, and Orito knows it. He hears her praise and breaks into a smug grin, saying he told her so. Right now, Orito is deeply grateful to his teacher, knowing this victory exists. Solely because of their daily training, his old self would have been crushed. A glowing system message suddenly pops up. Disciple Kagamiya Orito's trust has officially reached level 3. The teacher glances over at him. He is happily flirting with Ren. Lovesick fools have their uses. Trust is difficult to raise, but each level doubles the system feedback. The early gains were small only because his disciples are still beginners. Once they experience true growth, high trust will bring massive, unreal rewards. This could mean tens of thousands of extra chakra annually. His goal was one level 3 student per semester, making Orito's quick progress a major bonus. Later matches are less tense, requiring no saves, so he grades quietly. He chats with Kimura Sujito, wishing he could wander around to find talent. Especially since he still has one empty disciple slot left out of 4. He refuses to waste it on anyone below S potential. Kata is full of geniuses and there is no rush. His panel suddenly updates to 5,300 chakra. His refreshed skills show absolute mastery over many advanced techniques. Ordinary elite ninja are no match. His speed of improvement is incredible, gaining 1,000 chakra and mastering dozens of spells in a month. Morning passes and the first 2 rounds wrap up. Goro has not proved himself yet. Unlike Orito, Goro faces only ordinary opponents, and even though he sweeps through them quickly, it does not change how people see him, but Mugetsu knows it. Is only a matter of time. The class's practical exam will finally conclude in the afternoon, crowning a new champion. By noon, the teachers gather inside the office to discuss the matches they just proctored. Aikya grumbles enviously. About Shurigami Hadaru from Class 1, as expected of the elite Shurigami clan. Almost nobody in his class could last a minute against him. He'll likely take the grade-level championship title yet again. Aikya desperately wishes he was Class 1's homeroom teacher. That way his bonus would be safe, allowing him to take his blind date somewhere fancy. But that won't happen. Classes with good grades never swap teachers. Kimura Sujido then casually mentions that Kagamiya Orido from Aikya's class is also pretty strong and could challenge for the title. Aikya stares in disbelief, assuming he must mean Kagamiya Takedo, but he doesn't. He means Orido. Aikya completely refuses to believe it. Kagamiya Orido is the famous dead last. What strength could he even have? Sujido confirms. He is telling the truth. Orido's first opponent was Kagamiya Takedo, and he won decisively. Seeing Aikya still skeptical, Sujido pulls Mugetsu into the conversation. Mugetsu nods, confirming that Orido indeed defeated Takedo in the first round. Aikya scratches his head, finally believing it. Mugetsu is the teacher who gained everyone's respect. In just a month, still, Aikya cannot imagine how Orido pulled it off. A mysterious master teaching him advanced ninjutsu in secret. In his head, Mugetsu thinks, "You really have no idea. Once Goro also shows his true strength, you'll probably suspect a genjutsu." Honestly, Aikya has basically won the lottery this round. His bonus is officially safe. Though he's not just lucky, he did work hard. He also regularly asked Mugetsu to substitute, helping him recruit more disciples and earn sweet system rewards, even treating him to several meals. Talk about good karma. Just then Yuta Aya speaks up. She proctored Mugetsu's grade 1 class. The overall level of their clone technique seems almost on par with the second graders she teaches. One super genius, Kagamiya Shinji, heavily reminds her of Hake's Kentaro from a few years ago. The first grade championship will definitely go to him. Aikya asks if comparing the kid to Kentaro is really that extreme. Kentaro is a legendary genius who earned a Chunin promotion just a year after graduating. Yuta Aya nods. It really is that insane. Shinji is simply on another level compared to other kids. Aikya openly envies Mugetsu, claiming an excellent performance review is practically his. Yuta Aya quickly corrects him, saying it isn't just luck, it is because Mugetsu teaches incredibly well. If class level was only about having raw genius, the students in the classes he only substitutes for wouldn't beg for him back so loudly. Every single class Mugetsu covers gives rave reviews. Aikya quickly backpedals, admitting his own students wish Mugetsu taught them daily. Mugetsu modestly replies that the kids are just exceptionally diligent. He practices calligraphy until the afternoon exam begins. They return to training ground 16, where there are fewer students now since the eliminated ones can skip. The matches proceed rapidly. Ren, who isn't great at combat, gets knocked out in the first afternoon round. Goro, however, keeps up his absolutely flawless clean sweep. When Goro decisively kicks Daisuke down in one shot, the crowd finally pays attention. His speed is too fast, completely baffling classmates who knew him back then. He was only average back then, so perhaps he trained like crazy during break. The roster reaches the final match. Number 1, Kagamiya Orido versus Goro. The number 40 seed meet Goro. Walking to the arena, Orido glances at Ren. Seeing her standing outside, his fighting spirit surges, refusing to lose in her presence. Goro replies in high spirits, knowing he must secure every victory to become the strongest. To become the absolute strongest, he has to take first place, leaving them stunned. Their faces sting as the former third-grade underdogs are now the final two standing. As they form the confrontation seal, the instructor calls for the match to begin. Orido immediately retreats, casting ninjutsu, fully aware that Goro is a close combat specialist. Refusing to trade fists, he casts the clone technique, and 2 clones appear. The 3 Oridos crisscross and switch positions to completely confuse his opponent. But Goro's speed completely outpaces Orido's expectations, launching a whirlwind kick. This lightning-fast kick disperses the clones, sending the real Orido flying backward. Orido's arm trembles, completely numb and throbbing after barely blocking that heavy strike. Goro immediately presses his advantage, closing the distance for a close-range showdown. In direct close combat, Orido simply cannot match him and quickly falls behind. The spectators debate the outcome, and honestly, we are all wondering who takes this. Another points out that Orido fell behind Takedo before winning with fire release. Some believe Orido is just holding back his real ninjutsu power for later. He did defeat Takedo, after all. Nearby, Kimura Sujido asks the instructor's prediction. The teacher predicts Goro's victory, and Sujido agrees that this open field is bad. The teacher nods. On paper, their strength is close, but the matchup is terrible. Orido is basically a turret with limited close-range options and slow casting times. Against a high-speed warrior like Goro in the open, victory is impossible. The very next moment proves it, as Goro quickly exploits a massive opening. A fierce whirlwind kick sends Orido flying, and the instructor declares Goro the winner. A student who bet on Orido groans, knowing how consistently disappointing he is. Whenever you expect him to lose, he wins, but when you expect victory, he fails. Afterward, a classmate asks Goro for his training secret. Goro pauses to think. He answers that he wakes up at 5:30 to run laps until class. Then he practices martial arts against a dummy all night and on weekends. The classmate quickly says goodbye, having already heard way more than enough. Their admiration instantly turns to horror. Even real ninja would not train like that daily. Ren walks up to Orido, asking if he is okay as he brushes off the dust. He acts tough, claiming he only lost by a hair and will win next time. He is totally lying just to look cool, but Ren is not fooled at all. She grabs his arm, rolls up his sleeve to find bruises, and glares fiercely. She drags him away. His mouth protests, but his body obediently follows. With that, the class trials conclude, and tomorrow, the top fighters will face off. After the exam, Goro plans to thank his instructor and quickly run back home. He can already picture the Mita dojo crying tears of joy over his success. But the instructor stops him, pulling him aside to hand over something special. With a warm smile, the teacher congratulates him on securing the top spot. He pulls out a small booklet and hands it over. It is a taijutsu training manual he wrote in his spare time recently, along with his ideas for the future development. Of the whirlwind kata, a gift for taking first place, Goro stares down at the manual